So, I've burned through the first part of the fourth season of Stranger Things. Normally, I don't do that sort of thing. I tend to think it's better and better for these shows to do the episodes individually, but there's just no time. So I did, and besides, one of the things about the binge model, which I think Netflix for its future probably should abandon that. People can still binge shows when you discover old shows and stuff, which I've done. Sometimes on that shows that I haven't necessarily reviewed or anything. But the interest in a show, especially a show as big and popular as Stranger Things, would probably have helped Netflix a lot better if this was something people talked about for weeks on end, because there's always a new episode. That be as it may, it's all there, albeit in one chunk of it. The rest of it will come next month, I believe. So, one of the things about Stranger Things that I thought was quite the hindrance to it was that it was repetitive, and it was getting old fast as far as I was concerned. There was little elements here and there that were interesting, but it was just, well, there's another monster from the Upside Down, and there's another monster from the Upside Down, and 11 is really upset, and she's pissed off, and her nose bleeds. And the other kids are having a hard time with growing up, and so on and so forth, and all that. The only thing surviving with it was its charm among the characters and stuff, that you grow to like them, and you're interested in what happens to them, and that sort of thing. But this one, they set up a nice sort of structure here for the overall story this time around, even though it's repetitive. There's a monster from the Upside Down, and although this one is something that I thought would be a cool idea if they did, and lo and behold, they did it. I guess I shouldn't spoil everything, so maybe I just won't do it like that. But they do the monster this time is rather significant in all of this, and that it ties in basically with the origin of Stranger Things. It's this incident that sets things off. We learn some things about the past, and just the experiment overall, and how it coincides with 11 and what was happening to her there, and all that sort of stuff. And I always thought, this is some secret program that's going on and studying psychic powers and that sort of stuff, and they messed with things they shouldn't have, and well, there's the consequences. But at the same time, it's like, with all that setup, is like, well, these couldn't have been the first time around, and sure enough, there's a predecessor to all of this, and that's what I thought would be a good thing to follow. So, kind of spoiled it here a bit, but that's what they've set up here, and what the significance of it is. Now, there's other threads that they left unresolved from the previous season, and they deal with that here. Didn't quite know how they would do it. I kind of thought it would involve more of the business of exploring that there's this other dimension and stuff like that between the Russians and Americans. But they ended up, they're doing this other thing where, of course, surprise, it's no surprise to anyone. It's already in the promos and stuff. Hopper's alive. He was captured by the Russians. All that. And you knew that. But anyway, the means by which you get him back and all that type of stuff is a little adventure in and of itself, and how they do it. And some bits of it, probably a little far-fetched, but then again, maybe not, but so that was pretty good, and so it's good. It's just really good, even with a lot of the elements. It's just more of the same stuff, but they make it entertaining enough. So it begs the question: shouldn't this be the last season? Perhaps they haven't. I don't think they've said it is. Maybe they could do one more, but I think it's time to bring it to a close, and that's better, because otherwise I don't see where else they keep going back to this, and if they can't find a way for it to go further into something else, by now You would have thought, oh, they'll shift to something, aliens from outer space or something like that. That's what they, oh, and they have to, the kids have got to fight that off. Instead of, no, it's always the upside down, which is a big deal to suddenly find out there's this neighboring dimension that, you know, has this weird upside down copy of your town and all that stuff. But, you know, whatever. In some ways, it's one of these things when you have period pieces, and I always thought this, and I would hear it from people saying, well, not like, it wasn't really like that, or it's close, some of the things it's recognizable, and then, you know, sometimes, oh, they didn't have that at that year yet, and stuff like that. That's always going to happen. And the same is true here, because this is the time period of my childhood. That's what I remember, and some of it is very recognizable of what they're doing, and is a callback to all of that sort of stuff. But on the other hand, there's other things like, nah, not quite. But it doesn't matter. It's an entertaining show, and so that's the entirety of that first part. Hopefully it's just as good, or maybe even better, for the second part of how they wrap this one up. But again, they've managed to weave a way to not be completely defeated by repetition, like I've said repeatedly. In my repetition. Repetition is a terrible thing for a show, even a very popular one. It will drag it down, and it's just a sign of, we got nothing, we don't know what to do, we're just buying time till we can come up with something else. It's that kind of thing. It absolutely destroyed The Walking Dead for me, because that was repetition all over the place. But you think, well, if we can find a new character or a new bent on this that can make it entertaining and whatnot, and just the charm of your cast. And in this case, that worked out pretty good. And then, of course, you had the rescue of Hopper as well, and that sort of thing. And they found a way, at least so far. So far, so good for season 4 of Stranger Things.